We had attendance of 16,344. We did a gate of $2 million. The bonuses tonight were $75,000. Knockout of the night went to Koscheck. Submission of the night went to Diaz. And the fight of the night went to Jackson and Jones. They all won $75,000 each. So congratulations to them. Nate? Rampage is getting stitches right now. He'll be in after. Who's got the first question? Captain?
Dana, first I want to ask you, it seems like there's nothing Jon can do. I mean, it seems like every time his performance tops the last one. I was wondering, Rampage seemed to be in great shape, really fought hard, and yet Jon made it look easy. I wanted to get your reaction.
Yep, and when I went up to the when I went into the ring, he grabbed me and said, "Will you give me my pound for pound respect now?" I said, "I will shut the hell up now. You did it. The great thing for Jon Jones taking this Rampage fight right now is how serious Rampage took this fight. He's been up here in Denver for a long time, and you saw him when he got into the octagon tonight. He was in great shape. His face was lean, he had abs, and he came to win this fight. He beat the best Rampage. Rampage only cut 6 pounds for this fight. He cut 6 pounds the day of the weigh-ins, which is incredible. So that goes to show you how serious he took this fight. Let me tell you what, Jon Jones is the man.
Question for Jon. Jon, congratulations. To your right. Over here to your right. Congratulations. Number one, obviously you seem like you injured your leg. Can you tell us what happened? And then secondly, I just want to ask you about, you seem like you were using your kicks almost as a jab there to kind of keep Rampage at bay, if you can comment on that.
Yeah, just we worked the style that would beat Rampage, and it worked. Using my reach.
Shogun Joe.
The injury itself, when did the injury happen? What's wrong with the leg?
My legs are fine. I kicked some shins, and they're just really sore.
Dana, can you talk about Mark Hunt's performance as well as actually Nate's, Josh, and Mark Hunt's performances? Especially Mark. I mean, that was incredible. Unbelievable.
Thanks for giving me that one. I actually asked Mark to come to this press conference. Many of you probably don't know, or some of you do know, when we bought Pride, he came as part of the Pride deal. And it was back and forth, and basically I was like, you know what, just we'll pay it, and we'll just pay you off what we owed you in the Pride deal. And Mark Hunt said, no, I want to come, and I want to fight. And let me tell you what, man, he did it. The guy's got a ton of heart, and I have a lot of respect for him. And yeah, I really wanted him to be here at this press conference tonight. I have nothing but respect for Mark Hunt, and I'm actually glad that we worked this thing out, and he did fight the UFC.
Josh and Nate?
What's that?
Your thoughts on Josh and Nate?
Yeah, I mean, awesome. I mean, Josh knocked out Matt Hughes tonight in the first round. Matt looked awesome in that first round. His stand-up was phenomenal. Looked like it was throwing Josh off, and Josh ended up finishing it. And Nate Diaz looked insane tonight. I mean, he looked incredible. We all know how hard Gomi hits, and Gomi can take your head right off. I think tonight, I think Nate looked better than he's ever looked in any of his fights in the UFC. He looked unstoppable tonight. It was incredible.
A couple questions for the champ, Jon Jones. Congratulations on your win. So in the run up to the fight, there was talk about whether Rampage's power was exaggerated or not. Now that you tasted it, how was Rampage's power?
I thought he had great power.
Comparable to previous opponents you faced?
Yeah. He punched very hard.
To open the fight, you had this sort of like crouching stance, similar to what even what wrestlers do to the mat at the beginning of a match. What inspired you to begin the match that way, just to confuse Rampage?
Yeah, I had a headline, but there was things that I wanted to do, and I figured that he would be his most powerful in the beginning of the fight. And I know that he can't punch down the opponent, so I tried to keep my hand down. And I figured he wouldn't be able to generate too much power as such a low target, considering most of that is practice needed so well. So I just tried that, and I was going to try to go for a fake type of shot, fake one leg, shoot at the other leg, and it didn't work too well.
Question for Dana real quick, last one. Dana, Rampage had stated that he wanted to get a rematch with Shogun in Japan. Shogun obviously is busy with Dan Henderson, but should he emerge victorious there, what is your thought on making that match?
He and I just talked about that when he was back there getting stitched up, and you just said it yourself. He's fighting Dan Henderson in San Jose, so we'll see what happens there. But what Rampage said to me is, I want to fight in that Japan fight. So I said, cool. I'm never going to argue with you when you tell me you want to fight. So we can do it. Glad to hear him saying that. That's too late.
For Jon Jones, with all the banter back and forth and Rampage never having been finished and you saying that you wanted to win by submission, how satisfying was that for you to actually be able to finish him in the way you did?
It was great, man. It was really fun, and there's you gotta believe that you can do things before you do it, and I just have belief, and I was just trying to be a testament to people, to athletes, to kids, that you gotta set your mind goals, and that's the only way you can achieve it.
Question for Josh Koscheck. Josh, you said you wanted that fight with Matt Hughes for a long time. You got it. Showed a lot of class at the end of that fight when you two embraced, and you said something to him. What did you say to him at the end of that fight?
I just told Matt, I was like, hey, thanks for taking the fight. I know it's a great honor to fight you, and you're a true champion, and you're a Hall of Famer, and you'll always be respected in sport. So thanks for taking the fight. Is basically what I told him. Coming into this fight, on 19 days' notice, it was kind of tough to, know how prepared Matt Hughes was going to be, and I figured that he was going to be prepared very well. So I took this fight very serious, and he had a good game plan, and threw me off a little bit in the first half of the fight. And man, I'm just blessed that I got an opportunity to come back and show the UFC and show the fans that I'm back, and I'm just looking forward to what's next.
Quick question for Dana. Dana, Matt said that he would think about it. He wants to go on the shelf for a little while, but it sounded like he would like to return. Your thoughts on the future of Matt Hughes?
I think he's going to retire. I just don't think Hughes wants to say the word retire is what I think. And there was a lot of talk that this was the last fight of his contract. I don't know if that's true or not, because he's a guy I've never worried about, last fights or whatever. But I just talked to him out in the hallway too, and he's going to fly out to Vegas in the next month or so and sit down and talk. So, but I'm pretty sure he's going to hang it up without saying retiring.
Okay. Hey, you guys, thank you for a great night. This was a lot of fun. Josh, I want to talk to you about your eye. Obviously, that was something that Joe was talking about in the commentary, and also, obviously, all of us were curious about how it feels, how it felt when you took the first jab, and then how you feel, right now.
It was actually, the first jab actually did connect in my eye, and I was like, oh shit, not again. So I was like, oh man, all right, let's get my composure. It's still there, I can still see. So, it's fine. Obviously when you come back from an injury, it's always a concern. But I trained hard with a lot of guys at AK, and we grind up there, and it's been tested in training. So I felt that it'd be all right.
And John, how did you feel about the crowd in terms of how they were, toward you? Because it's interesting, there's sometimes some boos in there mixed in. I'm just curious how you felt about your reception here tonight.
It's just sports, I said it before, some people like the Colts, some people like the Patriots, so, some people like you, some people just don't.
Dana and I like the Patriots, it's a good team.
Big word. I'm actually a Ravens fan.
Of course.
Question for Nate Diaz. Hey Nate, you said you didn't want to fight Gomi because he's a legend and your brother fought him and you had a lot of respect for him. He was a hero of yours when he was in Pride. Can you talk about that fight and can you talk about your jiu-jitsu?
Yeah, Gomi's a legend. He's done a lot of good things, and I gotta fight him because he's trying to fight me and he's in my bracket. So I was just saying that he's lost to a couple guys in the UFC, but he's done a lot cooler things than some of the guys he's lost to, And it's an honor to fight someone like that, worthy opponent, and a great guy he used to look up to, and he still do. And I just had to play it smart because he'll get you.
Dana, I've got a question. Before you guys came in, some of us here in the media were having an ongoing debate about who's next after Rashad. I think we all look at Jon, 6'4", and the length of inch or two shorter than Rampage. Who in the 205 division do you foresee as a guy that, that's a dude right there that can challenge him later on?
Well, the beauty in the 205-pound division is it's stacked. There's a lot of tough guys out there, and I'll tell you what, Rashad just came off an awesome performance against Tito. I mean, he looked really good, and both these guys want this fight. There's been a lot of smack talking leading into this fight, and then we'll see what happens with Shogun and Dan Henderson. So there's some talented guys. There's some fun fights lined up at 205 for Jon. And it's one of the great things about being in a division like that, which if he is what everybody believes he is, I mean, the 205-pound division will end up looking like the 85-pound division, which has had a lot of talent, but it doesn't look like it because the guy who holds the belt is so damn good, he makes it look like it doesn't. So maybe that's what's going to happen. And he's still a young guy, and if he does clean out the division, you know, he and I have talked about possible heavyweight.
A couple questions.
Go ahead.
For Mark over here in the back. Before we actually talk about the fight, just curious to get your take on your journey to get to this point in the last couple of years with the losing streak, the Pride deal. You come here, your debut doesn't really go all that well, then you win in Australia, and now beating a guy like Ben Rothwell. Can you put all this into words, what you've gone through over the last couple of years?
Well, it's been a long journey, like I said, just to get here, so I'm still going away, still plugging away at it. It's been hard.
What do you think of your performance tonight? It seemed that, you know, you came back, but both of you were a little tired, but you were obviously the one who was able to outlast him.
It was a pretty hard fight. I mean, Ben Rothwell is pretty tough, man. I threw a lot of heavy shots at him, really hard shots, but he was still there, so I was lucky to come a climb so early here.
And just one for Josh. Have you decided what weight class you will fight in next?
Well, it depends. You know, like I said, I still would like to have some fights at 185. But you know, I don't know what holds the future for me right now. I'm just gonna go home and see about possibly, you know, getting back into the gym and working on areas I need to improve on. And you never know, I might be fighting in November in San Jose.
Question for Mark. There was a moment where there were a couple moments against Rothwell when you were actually doing some grappling on the ground, went for a submission. Was that something you were intending to do? Like going in?
It just happened, you know, it just happened in 5 seconds, so I just tried.
You're not really known for that. I mean, how much have you been working on yourself? So?
I've been working a lot on my defenses, you know, figure out things like that. So.
And for John, were you trying to play mind games with Rampage at some point? Like in the third round, you dumped him over your head and stuff like that?
No. I was just trying to finish the round strong, you know, so that I had a lot of energy left. So I shot in and in the bell rung. So instead of like laying, like, you know, falling down or looking tired, you know, you gotta never show signs of weakness and just finish strong. So that's what we do when we run our hill sprints and everything. You know, the last round is supposed to be your best round. So you start in on a shot, the bell rings, whatever, you just finish strong. Kind of the same similarity to like the NFL. You know, the guy fair catches it, but the guys run up to him anyways, just to show that they were in position. That was the idea.
Thanks. Sean Elliott, Fox 31 here in Denver. I had a question for Jon Jones. I was wondering if you had a specific strategy in place back here. If you had a specific strategy in place to stand with Rampage for the first 3 rounds and attempt to get a KO, something that he had talked about your power. And I was wondering if the plan was, if you did not get that KO in the first 3 rounds, if your plan was to take him down and sell him in those championship rounds.
No, that wasn't the plan. You know, I definitely wanted to finish the fight. It was a goal of mine. Basically, our strategy was to just fight long and to make each shot count. You know, use a lot of the low kicks to set up higher kicks and you know, shoot straight. You know, Rampage has knocked out some of the best in the sport, but he tends to knock them out when they're swinging hooks, and he has that show defense. So we figured if we shot straight, our chances of landing things would be more successful. So that's why I do a lot of up kicks and a lot of straight punches, because you know, he does the best when he's rolling off the hooks.
Yeah, question for John. You mentioned, you know, this being the second time Rashad has kind of ruined your special night. Can you expand on that a little bit? I mean, how much can he ruin it by
I don't want to talk about Rashad today.
Hey John, Pat Graham, Associated Press. How you doing? Congratulations. It looks like you gave Quentin a little kiss on the cheek at the end there, and does that kind of put the end to the bad blood and the beef you guys had?
Yeah, I told Quentin that I admire him so much and that I respect him so much. You know, I tried to play it off like,
You know, it was, you know, these two lions, and it was two lions, but the truth is, you know, I look up to him a lot. You know, I've been watching him for a long time, and you know, that first press conference me and him had, you know, he kind of killed me. He was making all the jokes, and I was just like, I didn't know what to do. I was kind of second class from somebody I really looked up to. Then I realized and you know, evaluated that situation and realized that I didn't want to be a victim again, and I would talk back. That's why I did so much talking this training camp. So yeah, I kissed him on the cheek and I just told him, like, dude, basically I was like, I love you, dude. You're like awesome and such an honor to fight you, and I'm just so glad it's over. And he was like, yeah, man, you're gonna go on and be great. And he's like, just, you know, humble yourself more and learn how to be better. And I was like, yeah, thank you for the advice. And I kind of apologized if I said anything that really hit home. And it was a good talk, so it was just 100% respecting each other. I'm sure we'll be cool from now on every time we see each other.
John, Gareth Davis from the Daily Telegraph in London. Just wanted to ask you, I was going to ask you what you were speaking about together in the Octagon, because you had quite a long conversation, but carrying on from what you were just saying, do you feel like he handed the torch over to you tonight by saying that to you afterwards?
Yeah, definitely. He definitely handed the torch over. You know, he gave me a lot of respect. You know, he admitted to the crowd that he felt the best he's ever felt. And yeah, he definitely was blessing me with his blessings. You know, he said, you know, we're both children of God, and you know, make sure that he's right with being the champ. And I told him that I would. So it was cool. It was so much respect.
Thank you.
Dana, question for you. A lot of talk about a lot of super fights and Anderson Silva this and George St. Pierre that. Now, because of Jon's dominating performances his last couple of fights, there's obviously going to be some talk about him partaking in a super fight down the road. You, not as the president of the UFC, but strictly as a fan, what would be the super fight that Dana White would want to see the most down the road?
Well, the problem is that, you know, like I said, this division is stacked. Jon Jones has a lot of fights ahead in the 205. And, you know, obviously the other guy we'd be talking about would be Anderson Silva, who, you know, a lot of people don't really think about this because the guy's so good. He's 37 years old. So, I don't know. I couldn't answer that question right now, but we'll see.
Sorry I'm late, guys. I had to take a shower because Jones put some funk on me.
That Old Spice, Rampage.
Question for Jon Jones. Hey, Jon, when you had your walkout song, you looked like you were having a really great time. Was that part of your strategy, coming in light, dancing, throwing your hat up to the fans, and you were slapping 5? Can you talk about the entrance?
You know, I'm really trying to teach myself to feel as if I belong there and not to feel nervous, and try to feel as if the crowd's there for me and to use the energy that I get from the crowd. So, you know, it's all a psychology thing for myself, just to be happy and to really live in the moment and, you know, not think too much, but just live and just be. And that's what I was doing.
Hey, Dana, as you were just talking about before, you mentioned Anderson Silva. Anderson came up before to the light heavyweight, and he won when he did that. Instead of Jon going to heavyweight, why don't we see Anderson Silva? He's clearly the only other person that you can debate as the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world. Why not put the two together?
Yeah, well, again, he's got to beat some of the guys at 205 that are next in line before Anderson Silva moves up there. You know, the guys who have been fighting at 205 for all these years and have those slots deserve the respect to fight for the belt before we do some type of super fight.
Rampage, you told me the other day that if you didn't win tonight, you were going to be the maddest guy in the world, but you actually seem to be in a pretty great mood. So, why is it, and actually, how are you feeling right now?
Oh, you know, I'm not a sore loser. You know, I thought I was going to be really upset and really mad, especially after Jones did exactly what he said he was going to do, finish me and stuff. You know, I haven't been submitted since Sakuraba, and you know, it is what it is. I train really hard. I can't beat myself, but I'm just disappointed. I wanted to make my boxing coach, I want to be his first world champion, so I'm kind of disappointed about that. But other than that, man, you know, I'm just happy because I made a lot of money.
Awesome. And Jon, for you, I forgot to ask this earlier. I actually had a conversation with Steven Seagal before the fights tonight. I caught up with him. He said he was planning to go into your locker room and have a few words with you. We know how he is with Anderson and Lyoto. I'm curious if he said anything to you, what that was.
Yeah, he called me a few days before the fight and just told me that he felt as if I was going to win the fight and that he saw a lot into my skill set and he thought that he could help, and he was wondering if he could come and talk to me about it. backstage before the fight, just kind of give me some words of encouragement. And I didn't think that would be a good idea. My training staff works very hard on me, and I'm their prodigy. And I wouldn't want to disrespect them by welcoming someone else's backstage to our room, to our house, to our family.
John, in the back here. I just want to ask, are you completely 100% happy with your performance tonight? I mean, I compare your demeanor here to maybe in New Jersey. I mean, you had a fun story to tell that night, but you looked like more energetic, maybe a little more happy after that fight. You're a little more serious. I just wonder, are you 100% happy with how things were?
Yeah, I'm definitely happy. I'm happy. Yeah.
Was there a lot of pressure on you on this fight, or?
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure, but you know, it's over now. It's celebration time. I feel relaxed, and I just can't wait to get home with my family, take an ice bath, and just be done for a while.
Can you talk about how this fight might help you develop as a fighter? I mean, sometimes we forget that you are young, that you haven't had quite as many fights as some others. You went to the 4th round with Rampage tonight. You know, you were successful. I think everybody thought you won each round, but he did have his moments. Can you talk about what this fight will do for you moving forward?
Yeah, you know, it just teaches me a lot about my skill set and about things I need to work on. There's a lot of times where Rampage swung at me, and instead of defending technically, I kind of ran like a little girl. I turned my back. Running. I did. It worked. So I need to work on my slipping and evading and comfort in the pocket. But Rampage hit so hard, man. I didn't want to try to defend technically. I just got out of the way like a smart man would.
One last question for you, John. You talked about how your teammates said that he was kind of fading and that the 4th round was around to go after him. Did you sense that as well? When did you kind of know that you had him on the ropes, so to speak?
You know, each round things were starting to slow down for both of us. We were both starting to reach fatigue. We were both starting to, you know, weigh in each other. And I just felt the takedown. After the takedown, his explosiveness didn't feel very strong. Yeah, I felt like he was just like, darn it, I mean, I'm against the cage and I'm down. And I knew it was going to be hard to fight out of that position. I knew that position it really took a lot of energy from him to try to get out of that. And I felt it. I felt that the moment was coming where anything devastating would have been a major blow to an effort to come back. And I just took it.
A couple of quick ones from Rampage. Can you talk about your confidence level as the fight went on? I mean, you were able to get off your back. You had some moments where you got the crowd excited. Then, you know, as John said, you lost some of your explosiveness. Can you talk about just your mindset throughout the fight?
Well, I was very confident. I was like a couple times I was getting kind of desperate because I wasn't really sticking to my game plan like I trained to do, and it was kind of frustrating me myself. John's presence and his reach and stuff is really hard to deal with. You know, I had guys taller than John doing the same thing and sparring with him, but I guess it's different when you sparring in an actual real fight. So I was getting kind of desperate and stuff in there. But John's wrong. I wasn't fading and stuff like that. I was actually playing possum a little bit because I was hoping he would fade a little bit more. I was going to try to get him in later on in the 4th and the 5th round. But when he got on top of me, and you know, I know I had this big cut on my face. John's good at throwing his elbows. I turned so he wouldn't elbow his cut anymore. It was a big mistake on my part.
More for you, Quentin. After the fight, you said that you know, Jon Jones is here to stay and he's going to be tough. You don't know who's going to beat him. I mean, when you look at the 205-pound division, can you give your honest assessment on who has a chance to?
I think Rashad is the only person that basically have a chance of beating him because Rashad trained with him before, so Rashad knows. So other than Rashad, I don't see anybody beating this kid straight up because I thought he was all hype. Straight up, I'm keeping it real here. I thought he was all hype. The kid is tough. He's very talented. He even hit me with one of the spinning back elbows. It didn't hurt, but he still hit me with it. I trained against it, and I thought I had his number. But yeah, you know, I raised my hand up to this guy. I took my hand off to this guy. He's good.
John, maybe if I could just follow up a little bit. I mean, this was such an emotionally charged fight, and we're used to seeing you, you know, with long, eloquent, emotional answers, and you just seem very relaxed at this point in time. And what is your mindset? Can you help us understand your mindset or your emotions right now? This would seem to be one of the biggest wins of your career, and you just kind of laid back.
Yeah, well, like I said, man, my feet are hurting right now. They're both pretty sore, and you know, me and Rampage did a lot of talking, and I'm just glad it's over, really. I'm just doing my job right now.
If I could talk to Mark, please. Mark, can you maybe walk us through your mindset as well? You touched on it earlier, but a lot of people in this world, if their boss offered them a paycheck and said don't show up, they'd be pretty happy with that. And you obviously pushed it the other way and said, no, I got to be there. So, I mean, can you talk to us about that mindset and you know, how you went through that decision-making process?
Actually, yeah, I feel like
He's a man of many words.
I don't even like talking about it. So.
Well, you know what? I let.
It's been hard, but that's about it.
And here's the thing about him too, and I'll say it because listen, I'm the one. He came in and I heard that he trained with the American top team. He went down there and worked hard. He came into the UFC and, like Ariel said or whoever said it earlier, went through this losing streak. We said, listen, you're part of the Pride deal. We'll pay you to stay home. You know, he said, no, I want to come in and I want to fight and I want to earn this money. And he did it. And you know, I give him all the respect and the credit in the world, man. And I'm, like I said before, I'm glad that he opted to come over here and fight. And I'm proud that he fought in the UFC. And I asked him to come here tonight. So if he won't say it, I will.
And finally for Nate, please. Nate, can you talk to us maybe what your life has been like the last couple of weeks? Obviously there's been a lot of things going on with your camp and you know, how that affected your preparation and your mindset coming into tonight.
I just try to stay focused and do what I gotta do, you know, train. Shit happens and I think that George kind of dodged a bullet a little bit, you know, and he didn't have much to say about it. The fight get switched up on him, but that kind of tripped me out a little bit. But besides that, I just stay focused and try to stay training hard.
And can you talk about your mindset through the fight tonight? Because you mentioned, you know, Gomi hits hard, you came out being very respectful. By the end, I mean, you're taunting him and working him over in boxing. I think a lot of us thought you were going to try to take to the ground, which you did, but you were working him over on the feet too. So, you know, talk to us how your mindset went as the fight was going on.
Yeah, I know he's good, he's dangerous, and he's got a lot of knockouts, so. But I do know he's wild, so it's like, you know, I had to be smarter than him. Try my best not to get caught with, you know, anything hot and just take my punches and do things right and keep a smart head on my shoulders. So pretty much that's it.
And like Dana said, a lot of us think it was the best fight of your career. Does this mean 170 is a thing of the past, or do you think we'll ever see you there?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, 55 for now. There's a lot of the guys I beat are like the top contenders at 55. Melvin Clark's about to get the title. Guida, and I thought I beat Guida pretty good, so I can't stay at 70 when all the guys are working are at the top of the division.
If that was playing it safe, I can't wait till he goes crazy. He can punch from the minute the bell rang till the end, till he finished the fight. He was in his face, stopped him the whole time. Put it to him, man. He looked unbelievable tonight.
Playing it smart. I'm trying to play it smart because I hate you. Yeah.
Dana, there was some talk that without a main event currently right now for UFC 140 in Toronto, that perhaps the winner of tonight's main event would take Rashad on December 10th. But with Rashad having a cast vote,
who said that?
Well, rumors going out there.
Who made the rumor? I mean, not me.
Is it safe to say that both these two guys are probably locked horns sometime in the new year?
Yeah, I would think that. I don't know. You know, he just said it. His feet are hurting. He wants to go hang out with his family for a little while. You know, you give these guys a few weeks to relax, and then, you know, especially after a fight like that. You know, like I said, Rampage came in great shape tonight. Came in to fight, came in to knock him out, and those two went at it, man. You know, the fight went into the 4th round. It was a tough, hard fight. So we'll see what happens. And the thing about Toronto, people are chirping about the Toronto card. When do we not deliver? We always deliver. We're going to bring a good main event there. Everybody will be happy. They were saying the same thing about San Jose. Relax. And I didn't start the rumor that Rashad and Jones were fighting up there if Jones won tonight.
Reno Notaro with FM 93.7 Mile Sports Radio in Denver for Rampage. You said you were going to get crunk tonight. What does that entail?
Me and a whole lot of alcohol. Yeah, girls, maybe. Y'all know I like the motorboat. I'm just gonna have fun. I got a lot of family here. Come on, Dan. Y'all know I'm gonna have fun. I got a lot of family here and stuff like that, so I haven't seen them for a while, so I'm gonna have fun tonight.
Dana, Brandon Cristal, 104.3 The Fan here in Denver. What do you think of the show that Denver put on, and how soon do you think you guys might be back?
I don't know, but this is a great market for us. We love it here. The place was It was so loud during the Rampage Jones fight, my ears hurt when I went back into the thing. It was like we were at a concert tonight. It was awesome in here. So yes, we will be back. I don't know when.
Couple questions for Quentin. One, you said the other day that after the fight you tell us who the spy was. You don't divulge that now?
I already said who it was on ESPN. Some dude named Leonard. He's friends with Jon Jones' manager.
And then your defense tonight, seemed like you ducked a couple of could have been knockout blows. Was that all strategy or a little bit of luck or a little bit of both?
Kiss my ass. I don't know, man.
That'll do it for us, D-Man. You're the instigator.
Who wants to follow up that question?
Hey, John, Paul Willis from the Denver Post. That's 2 big wins in Colorado for you, also the Bear win last year. Do you like it here, and do you notice anything different about fighting at altitude?
No, I do like it here. I train in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I'm not sure. Is Albuquerque higher or not?
Yeah,
it's the same. Is it the same? Some people say it's higher. But yeah, it felt great, man. My cardio held strong. I was backstage watching a lot of guys get tired, so it was good to see that just simple, hard-nosed Albuquerque training can have me prepared for Denver. So it was great. I had a good time.
Hey, Dana, we were just talking about 205. There's one guy out there not a lot of people mentioned, Phil Davis, undefeated. He was a little nicked up. That's why he didn't fight Rashad. How's Phil doing right now, and where is he in the mix of things?
He's doing good, and he's got a fight coming up here. Anybody know who's fighting? You guys usually know about more than I do. No? Yeah, he's fighting. We got him slated to fight here soon. And yeah, no, that's another guy. He's a big, strong guy at 205 pounds too. Good wrestler. So yeah.
Dana, I've got a little bit of a follow-up question on that. I know there are some media in here that cover UFC exclusively. There's some that are, because this event's here.
Right.
So
I understand.
Enlighten us on how, they're talking about 205 and who can take on Jon Jones. How are you guys finding talent?
Well, as this thing continues to grow, as the sport gets bigger and bigger, not just here, around the world. A lot of people don't realize this, people that don't cover the sport all the time. We're in 155 countries, in 22 different languages, and over 500 million homes worldwide on television. So this thing's a lot bigger than people in the mainstream realize it is. Not to mention the fact that since the first UFC and since we've taken over 10 years ago, this is the new martial art. When you were growing up, you get into karate or kung fu or kickboxing or whatever it is. This is the new martial art the kids are taking. And we've already had a whole generation grow up training in mixed martial arts, watching mixed martial arts. And what's starting to happen now is guys that would have, if you look at his family, guys that would have played football or baseball or basketball are now getting into mixed martial arts instead. So the level of athlete just keeps getting better and better and better. So for those that don't know, that's
so are you guys being reactive? I mean, is your team just receive intake from different fighters?
Well, here's another example of how big this sport's becoming, and a lot of people don't realize this either. I'll give you an example. When we go out, we're the industry leader. When we go out and we spend a bunch of money to open up a new territory, whether it's a state here in the United States or somewhere else in the world. I'll give Ohio's a perfect example. We went into Ohio and did our first fight. There were something like 230 fights that year. We did one. That's how many mixed martial arts events are going on. And that's not just Ohio, that's California. I think California had more. And the list goes on and on and on. And those are happening all over the world. Every Saturday there's a fight going on somewhere, and there's some new talent coming up. These guys fight in these smaller shows. Now, as technology continues to get better, we used to have to watch tapes on these guys. Now they're all on the internet, and it's bigger than people realize.
Dana, over here.
Yeah.
HTV Brazil. I would like to know, after the huge success in Rio de Janeiro, I assume that UFC is going back to Brazil, but I would like to know in which city that would be, in São Paulo, Manaus, both cities. What do you say about that?
We're working on that right now. We don't know where it's going to be. We're still debating on which city we should go to, and every time we talk to somebody from Brazil, they all have different input on it. But we're working on that now. But we're definitely coming back. We predict that that's going to be one of the biggest markets in the world for us, and we're excited.
You know when that's going to be?
Don't know.
No?
No, we're working on it now.
One city, two cities, São Paulo.
We're going everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna travel all around Brazil.
All right.
UFC Japan, we're doing it.
I want to fight Japan.
He told me that already. Yep. What's that? Yeah, I know. All the guys who used to fight over there want to fight there, and guys who never fought there want to fight there. So, I don't know. We're still working on that card. But like I said, I like when our guys are coming saying, hey, we want to fight here, we want to fight there. I like it. So we'll see. Yeah, you know how tough the market is there. And what did I tell you every time you asked me the question? I said, we're not going to stop. You know, despite what they do over there, we're going to keep fighting and we're going to keep coming over there. And trying to go there. I mean, and now we're going. It's going to happen. It's definitely going to happen.
Dana, Heidi Fang with Sirius XM Satellite Radio. I wanted to ask about the expansion with the UFC on Fox. We have the Henderson and Guida fight, and then Junior Dos Santos and Kane. You said that you don't know how you're going to round out the rest of the hour yet, or live streaming. I was curious if there is any new developments with that.
Well, no, there's only going to be one fight on Fox. It's only going to be the heavyweight championship. We've talked. We're still working on the production and what we're going to do if that fight ends in 30 seconds. We'll see. We're working on it. It's been, let me tell you what, it's been a lot of work getting ready for this thing. And, you know, I've been spending a lot of time in LA when I'm not traveling around to these fights. But I guarantee you, again, like I said at the press conference for that one, I know that we went with the right fight. I know this is going to be a great fight with these heavyweights. And just putting this thing together now. We'll see. You'll have to find out that night what happens.
I got a question. Jones, what the hell was you doing in the beginning of the first round? I thought you were going to come suck my toes or something.
Hey man, I was kind of scared, I ain't gonna lie. I was joking. I didn't want to get hit with one of your bombs, man. I know you hit hard, so I was like, let me stay low. It was kind of like James Toney versus Randy Couture, how Randy just shot in low. Like, this is our James Toney. I'm not about to get left hooked.
What the hell is this kid doing? I tried to knock his head off.
But speaking of funk, I thought I could smell your feet, and I was like,
we better watch out for that left foot. That fungus on there. I don't know where it came from.
I hit that gangrene.
Hey, were you surprised by my wrestling though?
It wasn't bad. I shot one shot, and you stuffed me nice. I was like, cool.
That's what she said.
No comment.
Dana, here. Before the fight, Matthews said he would entertain the possibility of a catchweight fight, but not at 175, closer to 165. If he presents that to you as an option to continue, maybe just for one more fight, does that interest you at all?
I honestly think that if Matt Hughes would have beat Josh Koscheck tonight, we'd be talking about who Matt was fighting next. There's no doubt about it. I know that guy. I've known him for over 10 years, and he's a competitor. He's really, really upset. You know, he said, do you want me to go to this press conference? I said, dude, if you want to come to the press conference, you can come. I said, I'd rather go. He's really upset. He wanted to win this last fight, and I'm almost 100% positive he's going to retire. I don't think he's going to do anything else. We'll take one more question. Anybody got one more?
Yes, one here.
We got this guy right here. We'll
Okay.
do two more questions.
Just a quick question for Rampage. Rampage, John said he doesn't want to talk about Rashad, but now that you've got kind of extensive history with both of them, can you talk about what your feelings are on them matching up?
Honestly, Rashad has turned over a new leaf. I've been hearing him in the press and stuff like that, but you know, I'm known to keep it real. When it comes to fighting, even though John ran like a little girl every now and then, but I still got more respect for him as a fighter. You know, because John did come to bring it and, you know, got me sore. He rocked me once, and he's a true fighter. Rashad, you know, I was really rusty and stuff like that. Rashad actually would have done a better job, and he probably would have knocked me out that time had he fought me. You know, I had some injuries coming to the fight, but I didn't want to say nothing. I didn't want to pull out the fight because the fight with Rashad was like so anticipated, and I did that movie. I didn't want to let my fans down. So Rashad actually dropped the ball. He could have been the first guy to finish me in the fight had he pressed it a little bit. But I have to say I gained respect for Jones, as you guys can see, because he actually fought me and did some great stuff. So, but saying that, I don't know. I don't see anybody that can beat Jones, honestly. But Rashad say he got his number though. That's what he said. I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing that fight now.
I will say this about Rashad. He does not have my number. He's not even close to having my number. Me and Rashad, we sparred a few times, and every time we sparred, I know what could have happened. He talks about one day at practice where he held me down, and he lives that day in his head every day. So, we'll see.
Question to talk about Rashad, man. You guys did it.
Question for Rampage. How special is going to be for you to fight Maurice? How special is going to be for you to fight? Yeah.
Oh, no, that's, whoa.
Answer it.
Time out. You're making shit up back there. That's not what I said. Dan Henderson's fighting Shogun in San Jose, and then we'll see what happens. He wants to fight Japan, and then we'll see what happens.
I want to fight
Shogun.
Shogun.
How special would it be if he should win and you should fight him? And rephrasing the question.
Okay. It would be very special because I got a lot of respect for Shogun, but another thing, like me, I know every time, this is my first time losing a fight where I've been in the best shape of my life. But another time, I got great excuses for him. And Shogun, I should have backed out of that fight, but you know what I'm saying, there's been one that hunted me for a long time, so I want to rematch Shogun in Japan. That'd be like a dream come true, but I didn't know he was fighting Dan Henderson.
Thank you all very much. We appreciate your support.